My first core value is that children have a right to a safe and secure learning environment underpinned with a positive class ethos, and the second is that children should be given the opportunity to become resilient learners who are engaged in and passionate about their learning. These are values that I feel very passionately about establishing in my NQT year, and as a facilitator, it's important that the effective strategies are put in place in order to enact these within the classroom. The core values I'm most passionate about now look quite different to the ones I had when starting the course. Initially, they included children learning politeness and manners, being kind and supporting each other. Of course, these are paramount in developing successful children in an academic and social context. However, these now seem very vague to me. I have now learnt to deeply analyse which core values are most important to me in terms of the learner as an individual. Maslow's hierarchy of needs suggests that to reach the top of the pyramid and achieve one's full potential, their psychological needs must be met. This encouraged me to think deeper about the strategies that are seemingly underpinned by my core beliefs and how I can incorporate them into my teaching practice. On my school-based training, I wanted to ensure that each child knew they were valued as an individual and not on their intellectual ability. I incorporated a research project that involved sorting animals into their habitats. However, I moved children from their usual subject-ability groups to places on different tables, considering each child's individual tendencies. I preferred different resources on tables that were accessible for all children regardless of their ability, and did not make it apparent to the children that they were of different abilities. The success of the lesson may have been down to the way they were seated, as children who were of a higher ability actively supported those who found aspects of the task more difficult, which in turn allowed them to teach their own learning and encourage other children with theirs, showing that all learning was valued. I noticed that one child who usually found research activities difficult and often lost engagement quickly was using a resource that would usually have been for the highest ability group, and was specifying an animal in its habitat but also going into detail as to why he thought this was the case. This suggested to me that because the children were not aware of their abilities, they were not under any preconceptions that the learning may have been inaccessible to them. This resulted in learning being engaging and accessible for all, and encouraging a passion for their own learning and attainment as opposed to comparing it to others. It also eliminated any stigma surrounding children believing they may be more or less intelligent than another, thus helping to build a safe environment where each child felt valued. When considering my core values, what they were and why, it led me to think more deeply to theorists who further underpin them. One whose theory aligns almost seamlessly is Bruner's scaffolding theory, the idea that new learning cannot be acquired independently, and new learning being introduced effectively is dependent on the teacher offering knowledge that's based on facts already known and building on them. However, knowledge is transferred not by rote methods, but through allowing children access to stepping stones in furthering their own knowledge and giving them autonomy over their learning, thus keeping them engaged and encourage them to seek new learning to build on their existing understanding. This theory allows children to be challenged in their learning and overcome challenges with support put in place by the teacher. This results in children staying engaged in their learning and becoming resilient learners who can overcome challenges to further their acquisition of knowledge. Dweck's notion of mindsets discusses motivation as being the motor for intelligence, which correlates with Bruner's theory that engagement is key for scaffolding in order for a child's knowledge to be developed. I feel growth mindsets may be effective when considering children and their learning. Dweck agrees by stating that these learners welcome challenges, enjoy learning, and learn from constructive criticism. Children with fixed mindsets, however, avoid difficult tasks, have little determination, and blame others when faced with challenges. They also consider effort and hard work futile, and knowledge is innate. Therefore, if you find it difficult, you simply don't know it, and there's no point in trying. I'd want to encourage children to have growth mindsets in my classroom, encouraging hard work, and that all learning is accessible through perseverance and determination. One strategy she goes into is the use of language and how you speak to children. On school-based training, a child who continuously verbalised that she just couldn't do it was replied to by the teacher with, "No, you just haven't got it yet." After observing a few more minutes and listening to the conversation, a child shouted out, "Oh, I get it now. Can I try another one?" This showed me that she not only had accomplished what she originally thought she couldn't, but continued to challenge herself further, making her a more resilient learner and more engaged in her own learning to improve her knowledge and understanding. As a result of my reading, placement experiences, and my journey through university, I reflected greatly on the kind of teacher I wish to be and created my Tree of Growth model, which I intend to take into my NQT year. This will establish and help reinforce my values when considering how they may show themselves in a real-life teaching context, when my first class walk through the door towards me. Although each stage follows one another, all are needed in equal amounts to create a safe learning environment where children want to come to learn, are excited to learn, are comfortable with and determined to overcome challenges, and who know that it's okay to make mistakes. Children who in time will make the progress they deserve to become young pioneers of their own future.